Welcome to the Liars Club. This is where we take our guests, we tell them to give us the truth, give us a lie, we figure out which is which. I'm Jessica Wellington.
I'm Felicia Mchaels.
And you're about to get lied to.
Today we have such amazing guests with us today. I'm very excited. We have Mr. Johnny Hardwick, and he was a writer and a performer on King of the Hill. Everybody welcome Johnny Hardwick.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good?
My nephew's favorite show, by the way.
Oh, cool. Well, what's his name?
Cameron.
Cameron. Hey, Cameron.
His favorite show.
That was the Dale. I played Dale. So.
We also have Mike Young here with us today. He is a very funny comedian. He's also a screenwriter. I was looking up the name of your movies. My Man is a Loser.
Yes.
I feel like you would know a lot about that. So that's
tons.
Did that get made?
That got made by Lionsgate, a very, very big company that did not pay me a lot of money, but they bought the movie. It was very nice of them.
Did they change the name of it?
No, I named it that, and it's with Michael Rappaport, John Stamos, and Brian Callen's actually in it.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
I don't know if you know Callen.
I don't. I mean this as a high compliment. That is perfect casting for the name of that movie.
It's unbelievable how that fell into place.
That
Oh,
really
wow.
is.
Wow.
Thanks.
So thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
We usually start off the show with a theme just to get things shaking, and today's theme was first kiss. And I'm going to go first because my first kiss was on the day Elvis Presley died.
Wow.
My first boy kiss was on that day. I lived in Fountain, Colorado, which is outside Colorado Springs, in this shitty little like military town. And my mother was German. She was not a war bride, but she was a German lady that my father married when he was stationed over there because he was in the service. And so she had this really weird German lady friend who had a son. But the German lady, her name was like Helga or something like that, was the biggest Elvis Presley freak on the fucking planet. Like when you would walk into their trailer, they lived on the corner, which was a trailer park. And when you would walk into the trailer, it'd be fucking Elvis everywhere.
Right, commemorative plates out the yazoo.
Oh,
right?
It was craziness. And she had a son who was this kid named Freddie. And so one day we were hanging out and we go like, I feel like such a whore telling this story. We go and we dig a hole in the bushes and we go and we made out. And then we come out of
Dig
the
a hole in the
dug a
bushes.
hole in the bushes, Jessica. What can I tell you? And then and then we come out and then all the kids were like, "Did you hear Elvis died?" And then we were so guilt-ridden. We were like, "I can't believe we dug a hole and made out on the day that Elvis died."
Maybe you caused it.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe our
Did you
hot
put that?
14-year-old passion gave Elvis a stroke on the toilet. It could have
Damn.
happened, yeah. So that's my first kiss.
You took all that attention away from the Elvis death
Yes.
in the neighborhood.
That day,
Nobody was talking about Elvis anymore.
well, on the good side, because Elvis died, no one remembered that I was the little 14-year-old hoe that dug it
14 in the
in
bushes.
the bushes.
Like
I
a
know.
rabbit.
And he felt terrible because he went home and his mom was crying in the trailer, little German tears.
I feel like a lot of trailers probably had shrines to Elvis.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Like in the
yes.
neighborhood.
Yeah,
Yeah,
shrines.
I come from the trailer park, and I can confirm this.
Yeah.
Right?
And Dale Earnhardt. Shrines.
Yeah.
It's true. My stepdad had that. He had all the commemorative plates and doodads and pictures.
They
Yeah.
love their racing.
So tell us about your first kiss.
My first kiss might be the white trashiest of them all.
I believe you have severe competition today after my Elvis story.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, here we go. Mine was with my cousin.
No, you win.
That's fantastic. No
You
better
said you're
short
from, where are you
sentence.
from again? North Carolina, right? Okay. All right. That's how those stories usually start.
To be fair, when we we were going out and we made out. To be fair, I didn't know he was my cousin at the time.
Oh, okay.
Now, since later we found out.
I just wanted to interrupt, and my apologies, but you never hear my first kiss was with my cousin, and then the sentence "to be fair."
Yeah, to be fair, we didn't know. Okay, to be fair, we didn't know. And then my dad told me that he was like my fifth cousin. It didn't really matter, so we ended up sleeping together in high school.
Okay.
Hold on.
Oh, that took
The
a whole
bar
turn
is
there.
set high for you two
We're
today.
talking about kisses. Wait a minute.
You didn't know, then you found out, then you slept together?
Yes.
That's double. That's next level. That's next
Yeah.
level.
But it's like fifth cousin. My dad said that didn't really count.
Oh,
So
fifth
did you have a
cousin and-
conversation like, Dad, I made out and he's my cousin? And
Well, my dad was taking us to the movies, and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, you know that's your cousin." And I was like, "No, you didn't tell me this." He's like, "Yeah, it's like your fifth, though. It doesn't really matter."
I feel like his name's Bud.
But did your father know that you had kissed him?
I don't know if he knew we had kissed. I was like 11 or 12 at the time,
Uh-huh.
so he might not have thought we had kissed.
So how old were you when you guys had sex?
Like 16.
Oh, okay. All right.
We were responsible.
Tight-knit family.
Wow.
It's a tight family.
Okay. Who's next?
Go ahead, Johnny.
My first kiss was with my sister. And we were in a closet at school, and we came out, and they told us Kennedy got shot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No, he's making fun of
No.
both of our stories.
No, but he won up everybody in one swift
I
sentence.
can't think of anything, but the Kennedy got shot is when you were born, right?
Yes, I was
Yes,
born on the
Felicia
day
was
Kennedy
born
got
the day
shot.
Kennedy was shot.
There you go. You don't remember your first
Let's
kiss
do
at
some
all?
comedy. Okay.
You don't remember your first
Well,
kiss at all?
let's hear Mike's story because
Okay.
that was mine.
I actually
Okay.
do.
That was a story.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember my first
Fair
kiss. It was with my brother.
Okay.
That was no. My first kiss. We lived in a little blue collar neighborhood, like parties in the basement type of stuff. I was in third grade. I had just come to the neighborhood from like a different
Third grade.
I was in third grade. I was a
Okay.
fast moving kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The whole neighborhood was crazy. I lived on one of those blocks where it's like cul-de-sac to cul-de-sac, 35 kids. Everybody's just doing everything. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So third grade, basement party, my house in the basement. This girl, Amy Adams, not the actor, just a girl in Detroit. Amy Adams, I had like didn't even know what a crush was, but like it was going on. And I remember we're in the basement and like the music kicked on and we were going to like dance. And she had an older sister. So she already like knew the game. And she just put it on me. And like the mouth was open and the tongue came in. And I was just like, what the fuck's a tongue? And
You were like 9 years old.
I was 9 years old, and I just got
Wow.
drowned out by a thick tongue and a good face, and it was Amy Adams. And I kind of freaked out a little bit, but then tried to be a smooth athlete and like go with it.
Uh-huh.
But that was my first kiss. I got attacked by Amy Adams.
Wow.
How
Thanks,
old was
Amy.
she?
She was my age, but like she was
Wow.
just advanced. There's just advanced girls out
That
there.
was an advanced neighborhood. Yeah.
It was a real advanced name.
Wow.
Like you had the bushes, we had the same shit going on,
Yeah,
but
but
like
I
during
was 14.
we had flashlight tag and everything was happening in the bushes.
Oh,
it was just
really?
like, it was just weird. A great neighborhood. I love it.
Wow.
But things happen fast. Amy Adams, shout out.
Yeah. Thank you, Amy.
No idea where she is.
Well, here at the Liars Club, we ask our guests to tell 2 stories. One story, a real story, a true story, and the other story, a complete fucking lie. And then we, Jessica and myself, guess which one is the complete fucking lie. Who would like to go first? Johnny?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I just tell 2 stories?
You're going
tell
to tell
one
a
right
story, and then Mike's going to tell his story, and then we're going to rotate it.
Okay. Okay, here's a story. I was, last year I was out busking on the sidewalk in South Congress Avenue in Austin, and the police came up and they cuffed me, and they put me in the back of the car, and I said, I'm Dale Gribble from King of the Hill. Pocket sand. Shisha. And they put me in a psycho ward for 36 hours. And they shackled me down and they put a white thing over my head. And I escaped once through an elevator at one point when they took me off the shackles to do some kind of body cavity search or something. And then they said they were going to take me on this elevator. And when we went in the elevator, these 2 fat cops were coming in. And as the doors were closing, I jumped out through the doors, and I went out through the exit and went home, and my wife called the police, and they came and got me and took me back in for another 10 hours. So it's 36 hours total. Okay, that's the first story.
Well, you think
Okay.
think about how many rednecks probably have been arrested and like, no, I'm Dale Dribble. You can't, no, don't put me in.
It doesn't work. I can tell.
Maybe that wasn't your demographic.
Assuming that story's real, that would not work.
Wow.
Okay, that's one story.
Wow, and
Mike?
you escaped.
So one time, I'm on the road in the Midwest. I'm on the road doing a comedy show. Fight breaks out in front of me. I drop the mic and try to break up a fight. And in the midst of the fight, I get into the fray because the guy who I was trying to break it up with was still heated, and he just went right at me. We got into it. I caught him with a lucky right hand, and he turned out to be a gangster. And 3 days later, he sent people to find me, and 2 Mexicans with handlebar mustaches showed up with 9mm and handled it.
Were you
I
at
didn't get shot, but I
were
got
you
beat
at
up.
the comedy club or a comedy condo when they found you? Like,
No, they got me in a restaurant.
are you serious?
Yeah.
And beat you up?
Yeah, they beat me up.
Damn.
Put me in the hospital.
What restaurant was it?
Comedy's dangerous.
What
I'm
restaurant
not
did they
saying
get?
the name of the restaurant.
I mean,
can't
this
say it.
kind of seems plausible because I've seen people, and you've gotten on stage, and some, like, this guy just, he didn't feel you or something. I don't know. You enthused something in him.
The fight broke out between 2 other people, two patrons, and I was breaking it up to save the comedy show, and it just went south fast.
And you were on the stage when it broke out.
Yep.
Wow.
You're just going to say that where was it again?
Yeah,
In the Midwest.
Yeah, he doesn't want to say the club where it was at.
Yeah.
What did the manager say to you? Like, did the ambulance come and get you because you were very injured?
After I hurt the guy, like, we started swinging at each other, and I caught him, and after I caught him, he went down, and then the manager of the place grabbed me. He said, "You basically just hit the worst person you could have ever hit. You need to get out of here." And they sent me out the back door, and I went running through the neighborhood. I caught a cab. I went back to the condo, back to where I was staying, and I started getting phone calls like, "You really effed up. Like, you fucked up bad." And
from the manager?
From the manager, from a couple local comics that like knew who he was because they were from there. They're like basically like, "Yo, you basically just like hit Gotti Jr. for this town, and you need to go home." But I couldn't go home because I still had a show to do the next night. So
You got to that contract.
So you want to talk about like being like stage fright? That's next level stage fright.
How come
And-
you just didn't leave? Why didn't you just say, fuck this club, burn one
Because I
bridge?
knew from his reputation that like he was gonna find me somehow. Like it just wasn't gonna end at me hurting the guy, and I just decided to like continue with business. I'm a dummy from Detroit, so like these things have happened. I really wasn't believing how like real deal he was, and then when the guy showed up with the guns,
Have you since been back to that club?
no, never.
And did you, were the police called?
They were. I was getting like regular visits from like organized crime division.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I mean, I never talked about it to them. They would visit me randomly and just like try to bang the door down and be like, "You're gonna tell us what's going on." Because they all, cops and gangsters they work in the same area, gray
Right.
area, and they all know each other. So they were. I didn't
Right.
know if they were with him or if they were like really trying to get him, but they basically tried to like get me to talk, and I just wouldn't talk.
And
so I
how
never
long were
talked.
you
I
in
said
the
I got.
hospital?
I said I got mugged.
Oh, really?
Because I looked crazy, like they blew my face out, like I looked like the Elephant Man, and so
This is the Mexicans that got you.
yeah.
With
I
handle-
mean, I didn't
handlebar
ask where they were from,
mustaches.
but like they were giant dudes with handlebar mustaches, and they were either straight up like extras from a great movie, or they were, that's what they were. But I don't know. I love the Mexican people. Other than that night,
Just not sent by a gangster.
it was crazy. It
to
was
your-
the
to a
craziest.
restaurant. Wow.
Yeah, it was heavy.
And so how long were you in the hospital?
I was in the hospital just for like a full day because they basically when they saw me, they rushed me in because they thought I had a brain injury. So they put me in a CAT scan, checked me out, no bleeding on the brain, 27 stitches, broken nose. I mean, they got me bad.
What if this vertigo?
It could be it could literally be a result. I could have things breaking off in my brain still. You know, you never know.
How long ago was this?
This was like a few years back, like 6 years, 7 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that is an interesting story. That makes me
nervous.
No, it doesn't make me
nervous.
Okay. But there's so many questions I have, like, you know, did the club owner pay for your hospital bill?
He offered to pay for my hospital bills, and I let him pay for the hospital bills. It was like $4,200. I remember the bill. It was like $4,200. And the crazy thing that ended up happening was, being from Detroit, I know people that are bad people, just like listen, when you're a comedian, you're on the road. That's the beauty of being a comedian. Bad people like you, good people like you. Like, I go on this road with Bob Saget, 7 guys from like a biker gang who loves Saget show up. So you just know it sounds ridiculous, but that's the beauty of comedy. So, long story.
Work in the safe rooms now, are you?
You know what I mean? Bob only traveled.
That's why I don't work with Saget anymore.
Yeah. Bob, by the way, your show, believe me, you got a lot of people that got your back, that are from interesting underworlds.
Just none of them policemen
right.
in Austin, Texas.
So I was like,
story.
The cops found out about it. They kept trying to press me, and they would visit me all the time. And one time they actually came to me, and I said, I got mugged. And they're like, you got mugged? And they pulled out a digital photo of me from the hospital. And they're like, this is what happens to you when you get mugged. And I just stuck to my story of the mugging, and eventually it went away. But it was a crazy story.
As they were beating you up, did they say, don't breathe a word? You better
not.
No,
they didn't say anything like that. They said,
that message was kind of implied.
The one dude there was 2 dudes with the guns. One dude kind of had the gun just on me straight ahead and put me in a booth. And then the other dude just kind of was over here, kind of just aiming at me. So I just knew I couldn't. And it's, you have crazy superhero thoughts when shit like this is going down. Because in my mind, I'm like, I definitely don't want to tell my family cannot hear that this is how it ends. Like, this is a bad way to end. So I'm thinking, like, if I swoop the gun, I get hit. It was crazy what was going through my mind. Long story short, they put me in the booth, and the dude that I had beat up, he came around, and he was like, I remember he was like wearing like a workout outfit, like a tight gym shirt.
Like what you're wearing right now?
Kind of like this, but tight, like turtleneck. And came around to this side, and they locked me in the booth with they put the table on me, and they went to work, and they just went to work on me, and it was just crazy.
When I was mugged and robbed when I was 17 in front of Winn-Dixie, and they pulled a gun on me, I froze.
Yeah.
They were like, get in the car, and all I could do was shake my head no.
Yeah. Fight or flight's a real thing.
And that was it. Like, I just froze. I couldn't do anything.
Wow.
So even if they wanted me, like, they wanted me to get in the car, but if they really wanted me, they were going to have to, like, shove me in, because I wasn't moving.
Right. How scary.
It's scary.
Scary.
But what's interesting is I ended up reading. You ever read the book I Killed, about all the comedians on the road?
Right.
So when you read that book about like Tim Allen and Seinfeld and all these guys on the road, you just realize that like your percentages of things happening as a comedian are way increased because you're just a lone wolf on the road.
Right.
So like Tim Allen had some shit go down, and like there was a story where like Seinfeld offended like a mobster in Jersey, and he had to go to a sit down and like apologize. And so you know what I mean? But like you really see what it is, and like there's stories out there, and I'm not, mine's drastic for sure.
Right.
It's very drastic.
Wow.
But, being a comedian's dangerous.
I was recently on the road, and I may have accidentally joined a white supremacy group.
Accidentally.
It was an accident.
Shit, they were like, you are our leader.
Wait a minute. Did you kiss your cousin? Yes, I did.
Right.
You're in. Wow. All right.
So that was heavy.
Though that's
a story.
That's
if it's true, it's a story.
I know. If that's true, I'm very sorry. If that's not true, you're a fucking genius.
Thanks.
Because that's a good story. Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, and your holes, you've plugged your holes up. So.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot.
Holes in my face or my story?
No, the only thing is that I think it might be a lie is when you said the club owner paid your hospital bill, because that sounds like bullshit.
Yeah,
No
that
shit.
does sound like bullshit. Yeah, that's true.
He did, though. He did.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Felt bad.
I had a club owner. I was just telling Johnny this the other day in Houston, Texas. I think that club was called the Laugh Stop, and there was a woman, and this is like 25, something years ago, and she owned the club. And when I did the first night, and my mother passed away, and they came and told me. And the club owner, and in those days you would go like Wednesdays through Sunday. So on Thursday she came and she told me, because they called at the clubs before cell phones. And then she gave me my whole week's worth of pay and helped me make, a ticket to go home.
Wow.
And yeah, that was the kindest thing, one of the kindest things ever done for me by a club owner. Yeah. So, I mean, I do kind of believe it, but maybe not either.
I remember that club. I played that club.
Yeah, that was.
There was a guy running it when I did it, though. I forgot he's like a big cowboy, like real deal cowboy.
Huh.
It was after probably whoever you're talking about.
Yeah,
he was like,
yeah.
All
I'm
he
so
did was
sorry.
play.
Remember
That's what kills me is like that's the kind of people I would see you pissing off. You know what I mean? Like you,
a big cowboy.
Yeah.
Why?
Because you're like this.
I like people.
Michigan guy, Detroit. You're gonna come in and you're gonna smooth talk, and then we're like, "Who's this smooth?"
Yeah, I'm from Texas, and I'm already a little pissed. And I don't know.
Hey,
and I like you, but I don't know what it is.
and I know you got friends with guns too.
Yeah.
That club owner took us out. I remember we were there with like Rogan or somebody, and the club owner at the time was real cowboy, and like I didn't know you could like just carry guns, like you could have guns, and I'm like, man, we're driving fast. And then we took us in downtown Houston. I'm like, this place is crazy. He's like, we don't have to worry, and like put his gun on the dashboard. And I was like, this dude's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Some real country shit.
Yeah.
Well, it is true about being a comedian that you do run across people that weird shit ensues. Like one time back in the day, I was working in Boston, and they used to hire, I think it was at Nick's Comedy Club, this is like in the late 80s, and they used to hire off-duty policemen to come be the bouncers at the club, right? Because Boston could be a pretty rowdy crowd. And so one night after my show, the policeman and a friend of his, but they were like the door guys there, they took me in the police car, and we just drove around, and then they break out coke, and they're fucking doing coke and all this stuff. I was like, holy shit, this is some crazy shit, in the police car. Anyway.
In the police car.
And the weird shit is they think that they're being cool, and they think that you're going to think that they're cool. You know what I mean? But you're probably thinking, like, this is who's protecting us, like these idiots.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a weird dynamic.
All right, now it's time for your second story.
Oh, well, I'm going to make this one shorter, okay? I was doing a set at the Velveeta Room in Austin, Texas, late at night, and I got really drunk. This is before I stopped drinking. I haven't drank in a while. And one of the young female comics came up on stage and shaved my balls on stage.
Interesting.
In front of everybody.
Was it just
That's the story.
something that was unsaid between the two of you? Like, did you invite her up to shave your balls, or she just stormed the stage and
she
just got to
shave? She just kind of came up, and then just one thing led to another, I guess.
How do you one thing lead to another? And oh, by the way, I have a razor. Let's get those balls trimmed.
Well, you've been thinking about it all day about needing your balls trimmed, and then.
How did she know that your balls needed to be trimmed?
Well, because people in the audience were telling her.
Because people in the
audience were telling her that
you need your balls.
Part of the act.
Trim his balls.
I have many questions about this, Johnny. Many questions.
Things happen.
I'm gonna bail it. It's falling apart because I'm telling Doug Stanhope's story. Right? Sorry.
I think I saw that. I think I was there that night. Was that in Phoenix?
It happened.
Wasn't it Austin?
It was in Austin.
Stanhope.
Sorry.
So a girl
it's
shaved
hard
Doug
for me to
Stanhope
lie.
balls.
See, I get it. I'm sorry.
Look, if you're going to steal a ball
well, now you know
story,
what the real
it might
story
as well
is,
be
though.
From Doug Stanhope. Well, let's get to Mike's
Let's do
story,
Mike's thing.
And we'll
I can't believe his other story's not real, so let's see what he's got.
Yeah.
So this is even crazy. This is almost just as crazy. But when I was 14, I grew up in a neighborhood that was fully diverse: black, Arab, couple Jews, and like everything, like punk, rock. Everything was in our neighborhood. And my dad went into some shady stuff for a while, and he was selling guns. Just, he would buy them out of Walmart, whatever, and he would sell them kind of on the black market. You know what I mean? Seriously, he was like, he'd buy a lot of them from the place, and he sold them to like some unscrupulous characters that would come around. So the FBI, local FBI for real, like in Detroit, kind of got word that my dad was like the guy. And so they took my dad they want to sit him down and talk to him and see who he was selling to, see if he would cooperate, because he knew a lot of people. Detroit's a super small town. And so they told my dad they want to meet him at this diner in Detroit. And so I was 14 years old. He took me with him. I didn't know we were going to meet the FBI. I thought I was just going to lunch with my dad. So we go and we sit down at the diner, and this guy's sitting across from him, like straight buttoned up, and he's asking my dad all these questions. And he's asking him about like guys in our neighborhood. And he's like, I know you tell me about Demetrius, and I know you sold, something, guns to Demetrius and this and that. And my dad literally was the kind of guy who like really didn't ask like the names of everybody that was giving him money. He didn't care. He was just getting the money. And I knew the names of everybody. And so because it was our neighborhood, I knew the young, these dudes were like 17, 18. I was 14. My dad was a grown man. He was 40. And so I started answering most of the questions to the FBI guy. And before we left, the FBI guy is like, yo, we should just flip the kid. Like, we should just flip. Literally, he's like, I'll give you $150 cash every week. And he's saying like, if it's okay with you, to my dad, I'll give your kid $150 cash. And we were kind of poor, and $150 cash was like kind of good money for me, for sure. My dad was definitely going to take a cut. And before you knew it, I was meeting like every other week with like an FBI dude at 14 years old, and I was giving him information.
So you're not a stranger to the FBI?
No, not at all.
I mean,
I haven't been in touch with the FBI forever, and they cut me off by the time I was 16, we had no more contact. But, there was and they actually, believe it, they actually had me do a couple like marijuana buys. Like when I was 15, by the time I hit 15, they were giving me like real money and like go buy some weed from your boy, Rick down the street. They called him Maserati Rick. Like he could, like in Detroit, because he always had a Maserati. He was a drug dealer, and so
yeah, if that doesn't stand out in Detroit, Michigan, the Maserati.
Real. So anyway, that's the story. I was doing some. Wow. I was working both sides as a young teenager.
It sounds good.
This isn't.
Up to your mouth.
It sounds good.
Interesting.
You don't want to miss that.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
What do you think, Jessica?
Well, Mike.
If that's your real name.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have a feeling that the you beating the guy up or hitting the guy and then you in turn getting beat up is true. For some reason, I don't believe the Detroit, your dad selling guns from Walmart is true.
But why? Why don't you believe that story?
Because Maserati Mike, or what Rick.
I believe because listen,
you can Google him right now.
I'm very
Maserati Mike. It would have been believable.
Well, here's the thing: people that own Maseratis are a weird group of people. Because I just sold my house, and right across the street was a house where a guy didn't have a roof on his house, literally for the 7 years that I lived there, and he drove a Maserati. He had no fucking roof, but he drove a Maserati. So I am going to say that your story with your dad is true, because there's no way a club owner would pay a $4,200 hospital fee.
Well, he didn't pay
I love that that's what you're sticking to. That part of the story.
He only offered. He didn't take it.
So is this the part of the...
Did you take
Is this the part where we tell the truth?
Well, hold on. Did the club owner didn't pay the $4,200, or he just offered?
No, he paid.
He paid.
Oh, you said, wait a minute. In your story before, you said that he offered and that you didn't do it. That you didn't take
Andrew?
it.
I will be the medium of this. He said that offered, and he goes, and then I took him up on it.
Oh. Yeah, okay. All right.
That's Andrew, our producer.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So I say your first one is a lie, and the second story is true.
Okay, so now I get to tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first one is true. The second one's a lie.
Oh,
the second one
fucked me on Maserati Rick.
No.
You got fucked by Maserati
The
Rick.
part about your dad buying guns from Walmart's got to be true, right?
No.
Okay.
None of that is my life at all. I took
Because
that.
that sounded like a good deal.
It
I
is
was
a
thinking,
Detroit
wait a minute.
story, and believe it or not, it's actually about a guy named Richard Wershey. And in September, there's a movie coming out called White Boy Rick, and it's starring Matthew McConaughey is playing his dad. But I've been brought on to write the book about White Boy Rick.
Really?
So he's actually still in prison, and the rest of the story is that he was given a life sentence, and he was given a life sentence on a nonviolent drug offense, and. Yeah, I mean it's a famous story actually. Like that McConaughey's doing it. The movie's public knowledge, whatever. But like the actual White Boy Rick, that was I put myself in his place. That's his story.
Wow.
So
Well played,
I'm doing
Mike
the book
Young.
on him.
Congratulations and well played. You had us going on that one.
I had you going for
you
sure.
You had me going on that one.
And also in the first story, he said that his neighborhood was like cul-de-sac with a bunch of basements. And I never imagined, I don't know why this is, but I don't imagine a very diverse neighborhood having basements.
I don't know why that is. I don't know why you feel that way either.
That's all right.
This
well, there
is
you
my-
go.
In a neighborhood where they have rockers and punk rockers?
Right.
I noticed you said that.
Yeah.
You said very diverse, rockers and punk rockers.
Because we actually had like
Whoa, damn.
Well, we had like a
living
whole
together side by side.
Those rockers
Southfield,
and punk
Michigan,
rockers.
man. It was our little king of the hill.
There you go. There you go. Well, obviously because Johnny gave up that the second one was a lie.
Yeah, I think we're both going to get this one right.
But
I was getting into that did happen to Doug Stanhope though.
Yeah.
That's a famous Belvedere story.
But you guys have done two absolute different things than all the other people that have come on and done the podcast.
It's
you
true.
actually told a story from something that you're working on, and you told a story that happened to another comedian, and someone hasn't done that
Yeah,
yet.
nobody's ever done that yet.
Yeah. Not even
I have
Eleanor
the feeling
Kerrigan's
someone's going
abortion
to tell
story.
one about me now.
Well, wow. I'm sorry to hear that happened to you.
Oh, I am too. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah.
But it is a hilarious
they were,
story.
Yeah. Well, the part when they pulled me out by my feet
that's
out of the squad car and my head hit the concrete, I don't know what. That was way over the line, and from there on, I was just terrified of the whole thing. So I
Yeah.
just didn't even really know what they were doing to me or anything while it was
Right.
going
Right.
on. But I still kind of kept my wit. They shot me up with something, and I was just like, I was like this or something, and I was like real hyper aware of what was going on around me for a while, like I was tripping.
That's the
balls.
scariest
It was
shit.
Crazy.
That's the scariest shit
I was nuts.
about the police. Like they
Yeah.
can just have you do what they want. I
Yeah.
hate that.
Well, they had
Like
been.
that story's just to
There
me
were
is like just as
rumors
bad as my
that they had
story.
been disappearing all these homeless people too, you know, well, I mean, the whole story was that this guy at the San Jose hotel, they had hired this guy to be the security guard at the parking lot, and he had called into the cops and said there was some guy on drugs that was acting up or something like that, and they came in and saw me and got me, and I was sitting there with my dog and my guitar, and I'd just gotten a coffee from Joe's and sat down on the
What happened to your
side
dog?
of the street, kind of. A friend of mine had the dog, and the cops were like, "We can take the dog to the pound or leave him with somebody." And someone took the dog, and they had me cuffed behind my back and threw me in the back of the car. It was like 100 degrees, and they shut the door of that car, and they were talking to people outside for like 20 minutes, and the car was getting hotter and hotter, and I was just like, "Jeez, I couldn't even breathe."
Wow.
I'm
Did
like
it
this.
change
But they
your-
took me downtown. They didn't take me to lockup. They took me downtown.
Microphone.
They took me downtown. They went down. Are we still doing the show?
Yes. But
But
did
they
it-
took me into some weird underground place and yanked me out of the car, and my head busted open. And from then on, I was just really, really disenchanted, disenfranchised, whatever you want to.
Does
I was
it
I could think a
terrorized
lawsuit
by the-
right
by
away.
the cops.
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
completely terrorized. I did think they were going to kill me.
really?
And they kept me so long, I just didn't know what was going on. And then they finally just let me go. I think somebody had finally convinced them that I wasn't a vagrant, you know.
Did it change your point of view of like what happens to people all over the place, like African Americans, or did it change your point of view of like, wow, the cops really? Was there any?
Yeah, I think it did. It does
anybody
change your
there?
view when it happens to you, even though I was hyper aware of what was going on with shooting black people and stuff like that the cops were doing and all this stuff. But that just, it was just crazy.
Wow.
And it's more like they're on some kind of power trip than anything else. And they're going by this set of rules. So if I'm telling them this guy, Dale Gribble from King of Hill, well, then they're going to, the rule book says lock up in psycho ward, right?
Right.
I mean, there's no other choice for that because it can't be that, right? So it was just crazy. And from then on, I was just in this kind of surreal world of knowing that I was telling the truth, surrounded by these people that think I'm lying and are screaming at me and torturing me.
Did you kind of feel like your character from King of the Hill, like for real this time? Because he's kind of like a conspiracy theorist.
It was an episode that he would have done. Yeah, exactly.
Because nobody ever believes him. He's always like,
right.
The cops are coming, UFOs, whatever, and he's a conspiracy theorist.
Well, let me ask you this one.
The memes are now all over the internet that Dale was right. You know? So it was like, so I was just going, yep.
That's crazy.
Figures. It was really weird, though. It was very bizarre. No one believed me. My agent didn't believe me. No one believed me that it happened. My wife. Nobody. But it happened.
Well, that's what I was going to ask Mike. When that happened to you, because you kept it quiet, did anyone believe you at all, or?
I mean, they believed me because I had the face to prove it. I mean, I was stitched up bad.
But did they think you started it? Because I know as comedians, when you say this happened to me, and everyone's like, "What did you do?"
A few people, and it did piss me off actually, because I was in that, like, I did have like that moment with the guy, and there was like the moment that I probably could have just walked away. And by the way, I probably shouldn't have been involved because I was just the entertainment. But I was trying to save the place in my mind. I was like, I'm going to calm this down and we're going to get back to work. But it was a guy who was like already seething mad. And there was like this moment where I could have maybe walked away. But the thought that I had, I remember clear as day, he had like veins like coming out of his neck. And he was like this close. He was so close to my face. And he had just beat up somebody else basically. And in my mind, I was like, this guy's going to bite my face off if I don't swing first. Mm-hmm. So my dumb ass, I swung first.
So you swung first.
I swung first. We were right at each other. I caught him, and I hurt him. Like, he got hurt, like he was hurt, even though there was no mark on him, but like his eardrum was messed up, and it turned out that I hurt him from that. But there was the moment, and that couple friends bummed me out because they were like, you never should have punched him. But like, until you're in a situation where you feel fully threatened, you don't know how you're going to act. And I'm from a family, we're scrappy, it's like if you're about to get beat up, you got to go.
Were you worried after the fact because you're a little bit of a ladies' man? Okay, and were you worried about your face?
Not at all. I was just, by the way, one of my friends had this like stuntman cream. And somehow it's like, I swear to God, I'm not even kidding.
That sounds like a sex cream, stuntman cream.
Yeah.
It's like, my boy's like, yo, bro, take this stuntman cream. It's supposed to be like, it's like a, everybody felt bad for me. And one of my friends gave me, I swear to God, this shit was like a gel or whatever. And it was like the fastest. I was like, every day it was like from here, it was like, shoo, shoo. It was like a miracle cream. So I healed up. There's a ton of crazy middle shit that I didn't get into. Like, when he did that to me, my cousins and my family in Detroit who don't fuck around like that, they're like, we're coming. And now they're going to go to that place. And like, all of a sudden I was like in the middle of what was about to be a very bad situation for everybody. It was like my dad's best friend is a connected guy in Detroit. And I sat down and there was like 3 70-year-old men. Jew, Italian, Albanian, literally. And my godfather is just like, here's the deal. If you feel fine and this is over and it's done with, it's over. It's 100% over. This guy had to save face. He's a real guy. That's how it goes. He goes, but if you think this isn't over and you think this is going to continue and you're nervous and scared everywhere then we're going to make a call. And it was like that. And it was like, so I was just like, yo, I am a comedian. I just want to get back to LA to the Comedy Store, do my jokes. I don't want to have that on me. You know what I mean? But it was like that. It was like that. And you'd be shocked at how cheap it is. Like, life ain't shit, like, to some people.
Well, it's not the first time that I've said it. When you ask people to tell you a lie along with telling you the truth, you really learn more about someone than just having a normal conversation. Do you have anything you want to shout out? Or
God, what do I want to... I have a new movie on Netflix that I wrote and directed called A Stand-Up Guy. The more people that watch it, it's always better for me.
Who's in that?
Danny Abakazer is the lead. Ethan Suplee is in it. Michael Rappaport's in that one also.
Oh, awesome.
Saget does a cameo in it. It was fun. Fun little indie comedy.
I'll go and watch it.
Yeah,
for sure.
we'll watch it for sure.
So that's on there. And then my podcast is called Stories That Need to Be Told.
Oh, very
Some
nice.
stories need to be told.
And how about you?
Well, I was out here pitching my animated spaghetti western rock and roll television series, Trailer Metal. And I'm going to go back and write the pilot for that. It looks like that's the next step. But I've been working on that with some friends, and we're pitching that. And I got everybody from King of the Hill to do voices in it. So
fun.
Oh,
if
very
we don't
nice.
do a King of the Hill reboot, this is one way to reboot it if we can get Trailer Metal going. But it's
Right.
cool. It's like set 10 years in the future, and it's in... They
Oh,
elect
wow.
the president on a yearly talent show, and the new one starts World War III, and that kicks off the show.
Wow.
Trailer Metal.
Trailer
It's about
Metal.
a rock and roll band that travels through occupied America.
And
So
where can people
that's
follow
what
you?
we're
I
working
know
on.
you like to be on Instagram.
Oh, I'm still trying to figure Instagram out.
Yeah, okay.
Don't follow me there yet.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook or wherever.
All
I'm
right.
actually trying. I'm trying Instagram too. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm the worst.
Are you
but I am,
you not a visual
I
person?
am on there, but I'm at the real Mike Young, but I'm just not great with any of this. It's like I gotta hire my nephew or something to do this.
You
I
don't
like-
walk around
Basically,
and take
just start-
pictures of flowers.
I do more
or-
Just start
Facebook
taking
Live. I'll walk
pictures
around
of
Facebook
yourself.
Oh,
Live,
nice.
but like I don't even know what's the cool thing on Instagram that you're supposed to do. Like I thought I
You
knew
just do whatever.
Mike Young?
the real Mike Young.
Yeah, because I saw Mike Judge's is the real Mike Judge, but what's to keep some guy from just putting the real in front of some name and
Well,
pretending
when you
to
have like
be-
a common
and then
name,
they're not real.
I couldn't
like
get my
Mike
name.
Young or I think Jeff Ross has one. Ron Jeremy, because he gets people just do accounts for him.
Yeah.
You have to put something in front of it to like make it different, because they've already, like that. Your name has already been taken.
Yes.
So a lot of
I
people will just
understood
say
that, but I was going, this could still be fake. Somebody could have just called themselves the real so-and-so.
Right,
It's
right.
true.
Well,
It's
thank
funny.
you guys. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining us very much.
Thank
And,
you.
I
Thank
hope
you,
everyone has a great
ladies.
week. And for all you guys out there, thank you for joining us once again. I'm Felicia Mchaels,
I'm Jessica Wellington,
and you've been listening to The Liars Club.
and you've been lied to.
Hello, ladies and gentle sirs. This is Andrew Rose, the producer of The Liars Club. I just wanted you lovely folks to follow our awesome hosts, and that would be Jessica Wellington and Felicia Mchaels, and you can follow them on Twitter at Felicia Mchaels, Felicia, and Jess Wellington 2. That is the number 2.
All right, here at the Liars Club, of course, Felicia and I do all the work, but we couldn't put it together if it wasn't for the lovely producer and comedian Andrew Rose. Thank you to him, and please follow him on Twitter at @1AndrewRose. That's the number 1 Andrew Rose on Twitter.
Thanks, guys, for coming by and sharing your stories with us here at The Liars Club.
And you've been lied to.